On our last video where we did some experimental fall tater planting, I told you guys that I think, or it feels like, fall may come a little early this year. Not necessarily early as compared to when it usually comes, but a lot earlier than it came last year when it was hot on into early October. Looking at the weather forecast down here in South Georgia in Zone 8B, for the next week and a half at least, doesn't look like we're having any temperatures get above 90 during the day. And we're even going to start to have some nights pretty soon down in the high 60s. So it looks like the temperature is going to break for us here. Nice and cool out here this morning relatively. And that's got me thinking I'm a little bit behind. You know, last year it kind of made me a little gun shy because it stayed hot so far into the fall that this year I wasn't in a huge hurry to get some of these fall crops in the ground, but I got to get on the ball. So today we're going to be planting some fall pole beans, some fall runner beans here in this plot right here behind me. And as far as warm season fall crops, the only things I'm really going to do this year, I got some flowers planted. We did those potatoes. Still got some okra growing from the spring. I'm going to do the pole beans today, and I'm going to do some fall sweet corn here in the next few days. We'll make sure to do a video on that. I usually always do some cucumbers in the fall, but I'm not going to do any this fall. We did a lot of cucumbers from spring, you know, succession planting them on up to August there. I think we did 3 or 4 rounds of cucumbers. So I'm going to take a break on cucumbers this fall. As far as warm season crops go, we're going to focus on these pole beans. We're going to do some sweet corn, and then of course I got to get my cool weather crop started in the greenhouse. So we're over here in my biggest plot that I have, and this little section of it right here on the edge is where we had a cover crop of buckwheat planted. We have since mowed that. We tilled it one time right after mowing it, and then we came in a few days ago and tilled it one more time to get everything chopped up. Now we still have some eggplant right there. On the other side of that, we have our sweet potatoes still growing. Haven't dug those yet. But this is where we're going to be planting these fall beans, where we had this buckwheat growing. So if we take a look at our soil right here, we can still see some of this buckwheat debris in here. It's pretty dry and crispy at this point. Not going to affect our planting or seed germination. There's not enough of it left there. Most of it has broken down. Got some nice friable soil here. Still get a bit of compost in there. I can see a lot of those black specks. Good bit of compost in there from where we've been amending this all throughout the warm growing season. So don't need to compost it. Got a lot of organic matter in here from this buckwheat. There should be some nice soil for some fall pole beans. Now we're going to put these on drip tape with our FAD system, which I'll tell you more about in just a minute. But as I was growing that buckwheat cover crop, I cut off my main line right here, so it wasn't running along that cover crop there. So I didn't have to worry about getting it with the mower or the tiller as I was managing that cover crop. Well, now I need to rejoin some main line here to run the length of this spot where we're going to be planting those fall pole beans. So I came out here last night, laid out this main line tubing so it would lose a bit of its coiled memory there. So all we need to do here is just remove this figure 8 end clamp here. Take that off and put us a mainline coupling on here. Slide that onto there. Get it tightened down, and then attach our new piece of mainline right here. Tighten that down, and then we'll go to the end here and put this figure 8 end clamp to crimp the end of the main line. Now this spot behind me is about 20 foot wide, and we're going to be planting 3 different pole or runner bean varieties. I'll tell you about those in a minute. So we got about 20 feet. That should be plenty for 3 rows. Need to give pole beans a little bit of room. Even though you're growing them vertically, sometimes they'll kind of get a little bushy right there on the ground. So we want to give them plenty of room and have plenty of room for me and the wife and kids get in here between those rows with our picking bucket and pick these things. So we got our main line ran. Now we're going to use our FAD system, our FAD system before planting. And FAD stands for furrow, amend, and drip. So we'll take our double wheel hoe. We're going to make a furrow so we can bury our tape. Tape always works better when it's buried, in my opinion. Before we actually bury the tape, after we do the furrow, we're going to amend that furrow where we're planting. And you can do this with compost, you can do it with conventional fertilizer. What I've been using a lot this year for my FAD system is our complete organic fertilizer. This 543 hen manure with calcium works great as a pre-plant fertilizer. So we're going to put some of that down in the furrow, then we're going to take our drip tape layer, lay our drip tape, bury it, and then we'll be ready to plant. We're going to be using our Horta Nova trellis to support these pole beans once they get up. We're not going to put that up today. We're just going to do our FAD system, and then we'll talk about what beans we're planting. All right. We got our drip lines in the ground for 3 rows of pole/runner beans. Got those lines spaced about 5 feet apart, got the drip on. I didn't measure them off or anything. I just kind of eyeballed it and picked me out a spot at the end, ran a straight line there. And it looks like I got them pretty equally spaced as far as the rows go, so that should work out just fine. Let's talk about what we're going to plant here. So the first row, I'm going to come in here with some of these Rattlesnake pole beans, and we've grown these many years. I really like this variety. It's really pretty, really tasty, a great heirloom bean to grow in your garden. I don't grow them every spring and every fall, but I grow them at least once a year, whether it be spring or fall. I didn't grow any this spring. And over the years, it seems like I have a better crop of them in the fall for some reason. Not really sure why, but I really like growing them in the fall when these things start making beans. It's done cooled off. You get your picking bucket. Might even have to put you a long sleeve shirt on. Get out here and pick you some nice, fresh green beans. Just really love this Rattlesnake variety here. That's an old favorite. The second one we're planting on the second row is what I consider, in my humble opinion, to be the best tasting lima bean out there. And this is the Christmas pole lima. This is a speckled lima bean, makes real big old beans there. And these just have a really nice nutty flavor. Just like I said, my favorite lima bean to eat right here. And you can harvest these fresh, shell them, or you can let them dry on the vine there and put them up in a jar in the pantry, have you some nice dried beans. They're really tasty that way. Put them babies in a crock pot with some ham and just a good little fall treat there. The last one is one I've never grown before, but one we've been carrying for a year or two. Is a Scarlet Emperor runner bean. I'm really excited to try this one. And as far as I know, I think you can eat these fresh. You can also let these dry as well. So we're going to give these a go on the third row. And we'll support all these with our Horta Nova trellis, like I said. Let them grow vertically, keep those leaves off the ground, plants off the ground, and make it really easy to harvest them. So we can see our tape, our drip tape lines there are inflated, starting to put out some water. We can see where those emitters are every foot along the row there. We don't have to worry about just putting the seeds where the emitters are. These things put out plenty of water, and in just an hour or so, they'll cover these gaps right here, and we'll have a nice, moist little seed bed for our beans. Now, if I was planting these, if I was planting 3 rows of the same kind, I'd probably do it with my garden seeder, just make it quick and easy. Because I'm planting these 3 different varieties here, and they're all different sizes, I'm just going to plant these by hand. Now with my drip tape layer, what it does is when it's covering that tape, those plows make two little mini furrows here on each side of this buried tape. You see one right here, one right here. So what I like to do is I'm gonna designate this furrow right here to put my beans in. So I'm just gonna walk along here, drop them in here, not gonna plant them too deep, and then we'll get a rake and cover them up. And then this little mini furrow right here is where we'll put our Horton over trellis. So I can see this mini furrow here, and once these beans get up, I'll put my T-post right here in this mini furrow and run my trellis, and that way I know I'm not puncturing my tape with my T-post, and it just works out really nice that way. So beans on this side, trellis on this side, and as they grow, they'll start to grow up that trellis there. So we'll just come along this mini furrow here, and I'll put my seeds about 2 to 3 inches apart. I like to plant them thick. We can always thin them later if we need to. We'll get all our seeds in the ground here and cover them up with a rake. All right. 3 rows of fall pole beans in the ground. I think this is the first outside garden video I've did in several months where my shirt's just not absolutely soaked. It's wet a little bit, but cool is in the air. And I love me some fall, y'all. This is my favorite time of year to be in the garden. Things are cooling down, just nice out here. I really enjoy those Saturday afternoons. You know, football gets started back. I can put the dogs game on the radio and get out here and play in the garden. It's just one of my most favorite times of the year. Now we'll let the drip run on these guys several hours, maybe, you know, throughout the afternoon. It would be ideal if we could get us a little shower this evening or tomorrow. But we'll let the drip run for a while, soak that seed bed. These things shouldn't take but a, you know, few days to come up. And once they get up about, I don't know, this high or so, that's when we'll come along and put our trellis so they can start climbing on that once they start producing those little kind of runner tendrils there. We'll be glad to show you that on a video when we do it. I'll put some links in the description below to all the seeds we planted today and all the tools we used to do it, so you can head on over to hosstools.com and check those out. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to give me a big thumbs up. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button and hit that bell button so you get notified every time we come out with a new video. And if you did enjoy this video, check out these other fall planting videos right here. I think you'll really enjoy those as well. We'll see you next time.